Welcome everybody, my name is Radek, and today I'll be showing you how to manage conflicts with CrossVista SmartBranch. So let's open the project. We have two branches. One of them, the top one, represents my production environment. All the assets inside has been directly uploaded from my production tenants. So you can see API gateway assets, B2B assets, integration project with all these assets. And I did fork a production branch and create a test branch as exact replica of the production branch and deployed it to my test environment. The bottom disk represents the state of the live environment compared to the branch. You can see that it's green. It means that the live system is in sync with the branch version. So let's start and create some development branches. So let's start by forking a flow service that we'll be working on, right? Let's call it dev1. Let's point it to my one of my development tenants, and let's deploy that flow service to my tenant as well. This will deploy not only the flow service, but also all dependencies, in order for the service to be fully functional. So in the same time, let's fork the something else. This time, let's fork a workflow. Let's call it dev2. Let's point it to my other tenant. And as before, let's deploy the workflow to my tenant. So what this will do, it will deploy the workflow, obviously, but also all necessary assets for the workflow to be functional. So flow services, documents, JDBC actions, triggers, anything that is necessary. So you don't have to worry about it. After the deployment is completed, we'll do changes to on both tenants. We'll modify the same asset, and yeah, I'll show you that in a couple of moments. Okay, now you can see the bottom disk is green, which means that the branch is in sync with the live system version. So let's go to my tenants and let's do some changes. Yep, this is the flow service that I forked. As you can see, the child service has been deployed as well. So let's do a change to the flow service. Let's do something simple. Let's disable this step, for example. Let's say on the second tenant, as you can see, the workflow is there, and all the workflow services used by the workflow as well. Let's modify the same service, but let's do a different change. Custom message. Okay, that's done. Let's go back to SmartBranch, and now let's check the sync between dev1 and live system and dev2 and live system. In a couple of moments, we should see our changes to the assets that we modified. Okay. So let's see what's there. So we modified validate and play flow service. That's correct. As you can see, we disabled the step, which is indicated here as expected. Let's commit it to dev1 branch. So let's take the version of the flow service from live environment and put it in the branch. And let's do the same for dev2 changes, but before, let's verify the change we did. We have added a custom message. Okay, that's expected. Let's commit it. As you can see, the bottom disk is red here because we did a change, and here in dev1 it's green because we already committed that change to the branch. In a couple of moments, dev2 will be committed, dev2 change will be committed to the branch. And now you can see here, there is an added icon. It's a conflict, it's a direct conflict because we modified the same service. So let's see. Yes, exactly. On one branch, there is a additional, sorry about that, additional service. On the other one, there is a disabled step, which is what we expected. What we can do now, we can either directly resolve the conflict in development, taking the changes from dev1 to dev2 or dev2 to dev1, or let's say the developers don't communicate too good. Let's try to push both changes at the same time to test, right? In order to do so, let's change, we need to set the branch to integrated state, which means that the development has been completed. And again, the same for dev2. And let's try to integrate both changes to test. Unfortunately, or in this case, fortunately, we can't do that. We can only integrate one of those changes because there is a direct conflict that we need to be resolved before. So in this case, the release manager or a lead developer needs to decide which change is more important, that should go first, and the other one should be resolved, the conflict should be resolved. So let's say we move forward with dev1 only and leave dev2 behind. The same would work with 10 different development branches, 15 developers. Some of them without conflicts you would like to push forward. Some of them that are very important hotfixes you push forward, and the less important changes will be left behind for the conflicts to be resolved. After a couple of moments, when the dev1 changes are integrated into test, I'll show you how dev2 developer should pursue with the conflict, because at this point dev1 will be clear. He will be on the latest, let's say, latest baseline, but dev2 will still need to do some action. Okay, the integration has been done, and you can see now that there are two new lines. So one of them indicates that the change from dev1 now can go to production, and the other one says that there is a new change for the service used in dev2. There's a new change in test branch used in dev2 branch that needs to be pulled in order for the dev2 to work on the latest version of that flow, right? So we need to update the validate employee service from the parent branch. But if we only install the validate employee directly to dev2, we will override our previous changes. On some occasions, it's okay, we want that, but usually you don't want to lose your changes. In order to mitigate that, we will rename the incoming flow service from dev1, rename it and install on dev2 in order for dev2 developer to compare both of them. He can use CrossVista SmartBranch to show the differences, and based on that, he can update his flow service and incorporate the changes from dev1 branch. Okay, let's go to dev2. There should be a new flow service there. There is a new flow service, validate employee _1, which contains the changes from dev1 environment. So let's quickly update the validate employee with the same changes that we have in dev1. In this case, it's fairly simple, right? We're done. So now we have the flow service containing both changes. We can remove the renamed service from other branch. We don't need that. And now let's do a sync again. Let's commit that change, move that change to test. But this time we don't override the changes from dev1 because we already incorporated them into our dev2 branch. Of course, developers working on dev1 branch will need to pull those changes, which I will show you in a moment. But let's verify, of course, that's the correct change. Yep, that's correct. Commit. Let's set the branch state to integrated because we've finished the development. Let's integrate the new change from dev2 into test. This time there are no conflicts. You might wonder what this icon represents. This indicates that there is a new version of the service in dev2, the same service as in dev1, but it's not a direct conflict. We can work with that. We know what we're doing. In a moment, after the test has been integrated with dev2 changes, we'll push those changes to dev1, making it in sync with test, both with test and dev2. Okay, we integrated into test, and now let's pull the updated content from the parent. We can again override artifacts or rename them like before, but this time we want to overwrite because we're not doing any active development in dev1. We just want to pull any differences that exist in test branch that doesn't exist in dev1. Let's just quickly look into the other arrow. This arrow indicates that there has been a change in validate employee, which is expected, right? Between test and production, which is okay. As you can see, the version of the service contains both changes now because we have integrated both changes from dev1 and dev2 at different paces. But we integrated both changes into test. So now both changes can go to production. Let's also deploy the updated version of the service to dev1. And after that, we will be finally in sync. We're done. Thank you. And please check the other videos that we have for other problems that we might solve and other scenarios that we present to you. Thank you.